feels like all of the shims are correct, and I have operated it, and there's no gear grinding that I can tell. So I guess at this point they want me to drill a 5mm hole there and put a spring pin in it. Of course, I don't have the 5mm anything other than the spring pin they've supplied. I guess the only thing left for me to do is take this off, drill a hole right in the center of it, put it on here, and use a hand drill to drill the rest of the way. There's no point in messing this up now that I've got all the stuff the right distance and it's all properly tightened. So, considering that everything was screwed together down there on that shaft, I was wondering how everything is going to hold together when you start turning things. And this is how you're going to put a spring pin in it. So, make a little divot there. And then I'll find a drill bit that I've got as close to 6mm as I can. I know I keep saying 6mm, but I looked at the instructions, it was 5mm, and it comes out to a 0.2 inch. I have amongst the number drills a 0.201. It's a little bit too long to go on there, so I'm going to drill a hole through it and then go over to the drill press and use this to line it up and use the right size drill to make the hole. I hope that all works out. And that's all there is to it. Now I'll go to the drill press, I'll set the thing in there, use this to align it, and then I'll use this to drill it. And I'll come back and show you what we've got. Oh, why am I doing all these strange moves of drilling? Well, once you've screwed this on, you don't want to operate this thing or unscrew it. I had to go back and screw it back on and re-shim everything because I played with the stupid feed without having the pin struck into there. And that's why. Well, this is how I'm drilling the hole on through. It may not be just right, but it might have been better to disassemble all this and stuck that in the mill. But then I'm worried about my spacing, so I'm just going to go ahead like this. I've got the hole on both sides. I'm going to try to hit the other side. Who knows? It could happen. Before it was even totally too late, I went down an even smaller drill bit size, which was a lucky move for me. So things fit now. And we've got to put this other little piece on there. Screw and a washer. So the spring goes in here. And so the guy goes on here. We're going to take the spring and the washer both at the same time, preferably. Long screw. Right screw. Alright, now back to it again. Well, now I've got the wrong washer. Hang on, I'll wake you up again. Alright, now I've got the right washer. It was much larger than I was anticipating. Go in here. Where's my tool? Alright. Okay, you gotta push it forward and it'll pop back out. I think for an old geezer like me, that's probably a really excellent safety device. Although I don't know why the screw is so long. I mean, I'd like it better if it was sitting there like that. So, while you guys nap, I'm going to shorten the screw. So, let's see if it works. Well, it works. I don't think that it's as smooth as it ought to be, but it works. Well, I may have to take it apart and re-shim it all over again. We'll see. And as much as I didn't want to add more holes, I mounted it back here where I had already 2 holes that hold this door on, and we had this nice thick bracket here holding on the Z-axis DRO, and I think between the 2 of them it's going to work just right. So let me start it up. Now that's where it stops at the top. I'll have to work this out because there are some end mills I'll want to go up higher than that, but not much higher, you know. So I'll have to just adjust these stops to fit based on experiences as I have them. And I've hopefully got it finished here. I may have to take the motor part off and see if it's got anything wrong with it after I've run it a while. If there's anything not right, it should leave a mark. Okay, so it's time for what did I learn doing this job. And I learned several things. Number 1, don't drill any holes until you get all of the shims in correctly. You're going to have shims behind the gear to make the teeth mesh right. You're going to have shims on the outside of the gear to make the little dial fit right. Then you can drill your hole, but there's things to remember on drilling the hole. And there's another situation right here, probably pretty much like it. Let me find the piece. When you're doing this piece, well, the little hole that's going to be in the end of it, it better be way down to the end, because what happens, the shaft that the machine came with that's in there is really short. And when you drill the hole in this and you screw it down tight, the hole that you drill through that shaft is going to be right on the end. Now mine, that hole right on the end has an open section because it was almost drilled out into the air, you know. So that's something to look out for. And number 2, when you set up the little nut for the drilling, set it up and drill both sides in your drill press or someplace where you can make them nice and straight. Screw it on, drill one side, drill the other side. I would drill from the sides, drill into the threaded section from one side, drill in from the other side, and that'll keep you from making a mess. Because when I made mine, my exit hole was really sloppy because I was fishing around with the drill in there, not really realizing how much fishing around I was doing with it. So I had to use a larger pin than that 5mm. I had to use like a 5/16, which fit. It took a little bit of, you know, banging with a hammer, but it fit and it works. But there you go. That and an important thing that I discovered. Now let me point the camera around here a different direction. I tested this guy right here. You saw me run it to to the stops, and you know, going down and going up. Well, it seems that the two screws that hold this guy onto the bracket are too long. I had screwed them in until they hit bottom, but they weren't really that tight. They just hit the bottom of the hole. And so after I used this a little bit, it started whipping back and forth on the screws. It scared me, you know. So I took everything back apart and looked in there, and sure enough, the screws were not holding tight against this thing because they were at the bottom of the hole and they were too darn long. So I got shorter screws and put them in there. Now everything's good and secure and solid. For this guy that had the long screw, I found a shorter screw for him too. There's no need for this to be sticking way out there. You've got a nice safe gap there. It's not going to swing around like I was worried about. So find screws that fit the right distance. This one's all the way, the head of it's all the way up against the end of that shaft, which is good. Okay, that's my learnings with it. I don't know, you may have a different experience. And then I've got something else I want to ask my viewers. Some of you that's been here a long time may remember 2 or 3 years ago, somewhere in there, I made a power down feed for the little Grizzly mill, and I used an Arduino for the brains of it and a little LCD touchscreen. And somebody at that time asked me to share the source code for it, so I did that, and you know, I sent it to them. I sent them the version I was using and the improved version I should have put in it. Later on I did put the improved version in, but I kept thinking, well, everything's right, I need to put this source code in a safe place. And to make a long story short, I didn't, and I had a computer crash, and my part of it's gone. And now I got a viewer asked me if I could send them a copy of that source code. So the only way I can do that is if you're the guy that asked me to send it to you, and if you still got it, you can send it back to me. That's all I know to tell you. There's not going to be an ARW discussion this Sunday. We'll be busy with watching videos of the bash, and you'll be videoed out before the weekend's over. And they'll be having live broadcasts of the bash all day long, I would imagine, for hours. And so I think that'll probably fill us up with all the video we need. Thanks for viewing. Please subscribe and like the video and subscribe, okay? Have your friends subscribe and your family and people you don't even know, okay? Keep on keeping on.